Thank you so much, viewers, for making time. Today I'm privileged to have Manasse Nyainda, a very young person who is at the helm of communication strategies at the Kanu offices or Kanu party. I want to give him the opportunity to introduce himself and tell us more about himself. I'm so happy to see a young person like me doing communications at the helm of a party that has produced a president and so many senior people in this country. Manasse, thank you so much for making time, bro.
Thank you very much, bro.
Yeah. So first, before you introduce yourself, what's happening here today at the University of Nairobi?
We're here at the People Dialogue Festival at the University of Nairobi. It's been organized by Center for Multi-Party Democracy.
Okay.
So basically, it's all the political parties in Kenya coming together to have a conversation about their future in terms of the political, social, and cultural issues that affect them. Of course, it's been demarcated that public participation is the best way of coming up with solutions that are very sustainable in the long run in terms of governing a country, because it is always based on the needs of the people. So parties have been brought together under the umbrella of CMD to have that discussion specifically with young people and be able to gather their views and their aspirations about what they look into the future. So basically that is it.
Oh, okay. I've seen senior politicians come in. I think Alonzo Musyoka, Wiper leader, is it the chief guest at the session that's happening now?
Yes.
Something like that.
Yes.
Okay, that aside, so Manasse, I have been, I think, following what you've been posting online, and as somebody who has been in the newsroom, I've been wondering why hasn't this person been in the newsroom and writing articles and stories, and especially at the Daily Nation desk. And I don't know why you did political science.
No, I started with public policy and administration in Kenyatta University.
Yes.
But then I dropped midway.
Yeah.
And then, of course, after some time, I transitioned into communications. So I began with public relations in diploma in public relations, St. Paul's University.
Yes.
And then I proceeded for my undergrad in communications, the same university, St. Paul's University.
Okay.
But just to correct you, I have written for Daily Nation.
You are
as an opinion.
No, you should be in the newsroom writing every day. But that's great. And it's not easy getting a column or getting your opinion published at the Daily Nation. It's not easy. So
it's not easy.
if you've been fortunate to have that chance, it means that you're great at what you do.
Thank you very much.
Welcome. Now, Manasse, where were you born? Share with us your upbringing, childhood, school, parents. Share with us a bit of that.
Okay. So once again, I was born in Nandi Hills.
Okay.
So Nandi Hills is in Nandi County.
Yes.
Or 23rd May 1996, just for the record.
Yes. 96.
Yes, 96.
Okay.
Then I proceeded to Nandi Hills Township Primary School. Mm-hmm. It's basically a polling station school, you understand what I mean by that. And then later on I proceeded to Kapsabet High School. For my
Kapsabet Boys.
Yes, Kapsabet Boys High School.
You say Kapsabet Boys, then we'll distinguish that from the rest.
Kapsabet Boys High School for my secondary studies.
Okay.
I studied in Kapsabet from Form 1 up to the end of Form 3. But as I was transitioning into Form 4, of course, over that period of time between Form 1 and Form 3, I experienced problems with my fees. I couldn't afford the fees, so my fees had piled up so much. So I had to transfer from Kapsabet Boys High School to a polling station secondary school. But I love that institution. I went there, did my KCSE Kiptare Secondary School. Of course, again, I was the first one, just as I was in primary. It's been a trend. Yes. Then later, I transitioned to Kenyatta University to undertake public policy and administration.
Okay.
But I had to drop off again midway because my sister, who was also in Kapsabet Girls, had just joined campus, Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology. So we couldn't really afford fees at that particular point. So both of us couldn't be in school at the same time. We couldn't be in school simultaneously. So one had to give way for the other. So I chose to give way for my sister to continue studying as I came into the streets of Nairobi to find my way out.
You've gone so fast, just like you're saying, you speak so fast. Now, back, how was your primary education? Were you born in a family where everything was available, or it wasn't that easy? for you?
So to tell you the truth,
Yes.
I was born in poverty.
Yes.
That is the truth. But at the beginning of my life, I can't really qualify ourselves as poor then. But then when we transitioned to around standard, I think 3 or 4 there, things just began going haywire.
Yeah.
And that's when all hell broke loose for us. And so I have studied in like I've told you, a primary school where you go for lunch at home, you come back accompanied with your jerrycan of water.
Firewood?
No, I never carried firewood.
Oh.
But you could also come back with panga and slasher to just trim the school compound in the evening during game time.
Yes.
And at the same time, wash your classes, like literally. And the classes, these classes where you have patches in classes.
Yes.
On the floor,
The
you
floor.
have patches.
Yes.
So that is basically the kind
So
of
it's a
school
bit
I went
dusty.
to.
You have that
It's a
water
bit
is used to,
dusty.
you know.
And the whole school was a mound of mud, specifically when it used to rain. So you can understand what used to happen. And we used to wash our classes every other day. But I thank God for that experience. Then it looked like it was a bad experience. But looking back, it was one way of molding some of us to become responsible members of the society. Because where you live has to be as clean as you look. So then the processes that we underwent in primary school, trimming the compound, washing the school, going back home and rushing back to school, was what made some of us to be who we are today. So I really take that as a very big appreciation. And my time in primary school is, I think, what grounded me into becoming who I am today. So I give thanks for that.
And I can relate that to something somebody said. Jackie Chan is an actor. Growing up, we watched him a lot. He said, there's a time Jackie Chan said, if my teacher didn't torture me, I wouldn't have turned out to be a good person. So I think those are things that made you the person you are today.
Those experiences.
During this time, were you staying with your parents or with a relative?
No, I was staying with my parents. So
and this is where?
Nandi Hills. We were still in Nandi Hills. So the whole of primary school I did it in Nandi Hills. But of course, our family, we really had issues in terms of parenting. So for the longest time, the only parent who was present was my mother. She was basically the person running the home. And then in 2008, just immediately after the post-election violence, she fell sick, seriously sick, for a period of almost 2 or 3 years. So you could understand how it became very hard to juggle between school, sometimes hospital, sometimes you have to go back home where you have no parents. So you have to get a way of cooking for yourselves. But sometimes, even my mom, with her sickness, she used to really help us. She could even do all those things despite all the sickness. And she's really been a very huge support system for us. But that doesn't mean I do not recognize my dad. He brought us into the world. He molded us into who we are. Despite all these things, he was very important to us.
And I think, and if it's okay with you, was your family like a both parent family when you're growing up, especially during these days you're sharing with me, or your dad wasn't available? I mean, if it's okay with you to share.
It's okay. It was a both parent family, both my dad and my mom. But my dad was a bit truant. So he's there today, he's not there tomorrow. He's there today, he's not there tomorrow. So all that time, I think since I think 2007, just after the post-election violence, that is when we began experiencing that truancy over time. So it occurred over time, but then now I think we are back again together as a family.
And that man, your father, what remarkable thing would you say, or would you mention that it was because of him that you got to know, or you did, or anything like that?
So one thing, my dad is very brilliant. He's intellectually gifted, extremely brilliant. He questions things, he critiques things, he delves into issues deeply, despite the fact that he may not have undergone through the formal system of education. So I think that is one of the things I acquired from him. I am a very critical person. For those people who know me, extremely critical. Nothing just passes. I have to ask questions, I have to criticize. So that is who I am. But even in all this, I think a sense of discipline is what he instilled into me. I think I have been one of the most disciplined young men in my entire life. I've never veered off the road, and I don't intend to veer off the road.
Yes.
He was very firm. He had this very deep sense of discipline and instilling discipline in us, and we have been so solid because of him, despite all the other issues. So I think that is very important to mention.
Let's go back to your mom. How would you describe your mom, especially when you are growing up? What kind of person was she? A disciplinarian? I know she was soft to people.
My mom was a cocktail of things. So depending on the situation, she would be this. She's always the best. She's the best human being I know on this earth. But she was a cocktail of things depending on the situations. So when you mess up, she turns into something else. You understand? But when everything is good, she's the best human being you could ever experience. But all through, she's the best human being. That's when you have to give it to her. But then of course we understood that she had to be firm for us to be where we are. So you can imagine if she would have just let us go haywire, then perhaps we wouldn't have been here. So we appreciate everything. She was strict, she was firm, but she would rarely lay her hands on us. It was very rare, extremely rare. I think I have been whopped by her, I think just 1 or 2 times, not more. Yes, but she was extremely firm about certain things.
Why do you think Gideon Moi appointed you as with your age, even with your age as a young person, and there are so many people who qualify. You do qualify, but it wouldn't have been so easy for anybody else to just get picked, but you did. Why do you think Gideon Moi picked you as the communication director at the helm of Kanu?
So basically, let me begin by this. When I joined the politics as a young person, I didn't come from the perspective of youth issues, that for instance I am here seeking inclusivity. I came from the perspective of my competencies. What is it I can offer in a political space? So when I transitioned into Kanu from my previous party, that was around 2018, I began volunteering over time. I volunteered for almost I volunteered for almost 3 years.
What were you volunteering on, especially?
Just communications, specifically communications. So the party then had the executive director who had come from mainstream media. He's a very competent person. He's called Joseph Towets. So I worked under Joseph Towets for that period of time as a volunteer. So I could write speeches, I could draft statements, and I could look at social media accounts of the party and stuff. But then all these things they used to undergo editorial processes, of course, being overseen by Towet. So over time, of course, I polished my skills. Also, given the fact that I am very solid in languages, both English and Swahili. Since primary, since high school, back into campus, the same happened even when I transitioned into politics. So of course I volunteered for almost 3 years, and then in 2020 I was appointed as a communications assistant just within the party in the secretariat.
On a salary?
Of course. Not so much, something small, but I think it was very important for my growth. So over time we would interact with Gideon Moi because I could go to campaign activities with him, specifically during BBI, and he could see me. So one day I did something that I don't want to mention. I don't want it to come to light. And he asked around who I was, and he was told by my seniors in the party, senior officials in the party, whoever I was. And when we transitioned into 2021, we had a meeting, joint meeting, and I made a presentation about communication. It was a period when he wanted to announce that he's going for the presidency. So we retreated somewhere to just come up with a proper plan for him. So I made a presentation, and it was out of that presentation, and it happened in Mombasa. That is when he picked me out specifically and told me I should come and see him, and we have this discussion. So of course it didn't start in 2023 when I was appointed in June. It started in 2021. That is when we became very close. We became very close. We worked together. We worked into the campaign. Of course, during campaigns, you do not want to change people easily because you would destabilize the institutional memory and knowledge that's been around. So we waited until the election was over. Everything is settled. Then now that's when I transitioned into becoming the director of communications. Yes, that's what happened.
Wow. And I saw him post that on Facebook.
Yes.
I mean on social media.
Yes.
And I think I wasn't following him, but because we are friends,
Yeah.
that's when I saw you post that. And how has that changed your life?
You know Gideon Moy as a man.
Yes.
Leave alone as a politician. He's a very solid businessman. He has networks within and without the country.
Yes.
And even as a politician, he commands a level of respect, specifically in the bureaucratic system of the state.
Yeah.
That one you have to understand. And he's a very nice gentleman.
Yes.
So of course, by virtue of association, he lent me a level of credibility in the public that I'm actually one of his communications assistants. So it was very important to me. Number two, he exposed me to the public. I already by that time I was very huge in terms of my social media and how I used to engage the public. But then of course the fact that it came from him, it meant a lot to me. And therefore I have a sense of credibility that even if I meet someone, even if I talk to someone, I talk from a point of credibility.
Yes.
You understand? Even further, I have been able to solidify my credentials as a professional, as a communication professional. So my areas of expertise is specifically public relations and journalism, but specifically even more writing.
Yes.
So copywriting, speech writing, article writing, statement writing, that is where I am. So of course, this has given me an opportunity to be able to engage with media houses, to engage with other communication stakeholders, and it's been very important in my growth journey. And even more, it gave me an opportunity to establish my own communications company on the sidelines, together of course with some of my colleagues.
Yes.
So that is what we do on the sidelines. So it's because of that opportunity that is where we are today as a people. But I'm very grateful to him and for him for whatever he did to me. It's been a fulfilling journey, I can tell you that. Yes.
Okay. What would you tell a young person aspiring to do communications or journalism or writing or whatever it is?
Yeah.
Because looking back with the wisdom of hindsight, I am sure when you are in high school or primary school, you pictured or you looked at Manasse, maybe God, if it would be possible, God to help you become a great person. But I don't think you ever imagined that you'd become the director of communication at Kanu. So I want you to speak to a young person and tell them what they need to do to become that, even though with all the challenges that they might be going through in school or even with school fees or with just access to education and anything. What would you tell them?
I'm a young person just like any other young person. So opportunities never come easy, number one. You really have to toil for these opportunities. Like I've told you, there's a point I've not told you about my place in ODM. I was in ODM for almost 2 years, between 2016 and that beginning of 2018.
Yes.
I also toiled in ODM. So my advice to young people is, if you ever get an opportunity to showcase your services anywhere, please do it to the best of your ability. The chance, the opportunity may not get you then when you have just come in, but over time, doors will open. So to young people, if you have any sort of competency, please just take any position you have, build yourself, build your skills. Over time, opportunities will come to you in as much as you want to rush to opportunities. Most importantly, just pick your interest as early as possible. As for me, I knew where I was going. I may not have known that I'd be the director of communications, but I knew I'd be a solid person in communication, either in newsroom, either in the NGO sector, and even in politics. Because up to date, and I can tell you, I speak to my primary teachers. My composition is being used as the basis of teaching students in primary school.
Oh.
Yes, my composition and my HR. In high school, English, I can claim that I scored literally almost everything. I can claim. Of course, I didn't score everything, but I can claim. So I have seen that transition over time. So I have been very solid in terms of my interaction with language, because of course English is the global language of transaction for most people, and it is a basic. It's actually a form of knowledge. People go to school to learn English and literature. So I have been very solid about myself in terms of what I wanted. And so my advice to young people: opportunities will always come. They may find you, they may not find you, but stick wherever you are, showcase your capabilities, volunteer even if you can. These doors will open. But of course, sometimes you may volunteer to an extent that you feel you're being misused or even overused. If you get to that point, then you have the right to transition to somewhere else. As a young person, you don't have to stick somewhere else. But always just build your skills. So if you're a journalist, if you're a medical practitioner, if you're a teacher, please do it to the best of your ability. That is what has kept some of us to where we are today.
Okay.
Yes.
So is Manasse married, having kids, or girlfriend, or not?
I'm as single as I come. I am single.
Is that by choice or by design?
Of course, by choice. I'm sorry, I have access to
yeah, of course.
so many people.
Yes.
But it's by choice that I decided to stay single for some time.
Yes.
I transitioned my life from this particular point to another point. But of course, I look forward to having someone, and specifically marriage.
Yes.
But that would come perhaps in the next 5 or even 6 or even 7 years to come.
Okay.
Yes.
So, which communication directors are you always in contact with? Be they in the political space or?
So, Philip Odium,
yes,
he is a very good friend of mine. We are always in touch. Najma Ismail.
Yeah,
Najma Ismail, State House media liaison.
Yes.
She's been my good friend and a mentor. We've worked together. She really helped me in so many things. In newsroom, your political editor when you're in Nation.
Yes.
Patrick Langat.
Yeah.
Langat has been a very good friend of mine. Yes, Patrick Langat.
He was just sitting behind me. We
Serious?
have good friends. Langat.
Patrick Langat has been a very good person.
Yeah.
And then you have another guy. I think he's currently in Mombasa. He's the one who introduced me to Patrick. What is the name? He was an editor in Mount Kenya before he went to Mombasa.
Nation.
Kimanthi.
Kenneth Kimanthi.
Yes, Kenneth
Ken.
Kimanthi.
Yeah.
And of course, Standard, the head of special projects, Andrew Kipkemboi. Yes, Andrew Kemboi has been a very good person to me.
Yeah.
He's given me opportunity to write special reports for Standard. So I have networks here and there of very solid people, well placed in the media houses. But of course, low cadre, I have all of them.
Yes, there's so many.
Yes, there are so many.
So if I ask you to help me talk to Etale to also have a conversation like this with him, would you be able to talk?
Very much possible.
Okay.
Very much possible. I'll help you with that.
Yeah, okay.
That's possible.
Okay. So Manasse, I think I'm so humbled to have had you on this interview, and thank you so much for making time. I have learned a lot from you, and I think not just me, our viewers and anybody or everybody else who is going to watch this is going to get inspired in one or another way.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much.
I think we should have this conversation when we're sitting down.
Yes.
And we have that particular time properly.
Okay.
We should have another one.
Sawa.
Please.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.